Sam Roberts here at Wrestlemania 30 Radio Row with Seth Rollins. Seth, what's the haps?
Not much, man. We're just up early, hanging out with you guys, sitting right in front of this NXT booth with all that. Man, I wish they had this stuff for us when I was in NXT, man. It wasn't quite this set up, dude. It's pretty impressive here at Access.
Is it? Yeah, because it seems like they're making NXT guys, the developmental guys, kind of slowly turning them into superstars. Whereas with your generation, they just kind of threw you to the lines.
Yeah, we were like the guinea pigs, really, because we were the first NXTers, like my group of guys, really, even, Ambrose and Reigns and stuff like that. We went from being FCW to NXT, and so we were like right in that transitional stage. Oh, geez, Brian's losing his mind over there somewhere. But yeah, we were the first kind of guys, and we didn't get. I just didn't think they had a vision, but it's a process to get from point A to point Z, and kudos to the company and Triple H especially. He's had really been hands-on with NXT and really turned it into a powerhouse and almost its own brand. I mean, if you look here, everything's gold and black, and it's completely different than anything else that's going on. It's almost like its own separate entity.
Yeah,
you got your stars, you got all these guys back here looking great, and it's cool to see, man.
And it's like unique title belts. It's not like old WWE belts that they just threw down there. How different is it to have to start working with three guys? Like when you were kind of coming up, you were your own dude. You're the NXT champion, right?
Yeah, I'd always been a singles guy. I'd done some tag work previously in my former life.
Yes.
But working with three guys was a completely different dynamic, and it was something that I never really considered was going to be challenging, but like it is.
Yeah.
It is, and it was, fortunate for us, we gelled pretty quickly, and we all kind of had the same mindset going in, so like that helped, but like adjusting to each other's styles and learning to play off each other's strengths and hide each other's weaknesses was like a crucial part of that, and I think we were able to do it really well. We were fortunate enough, like I said, to just all be on the same page, all have one goal in mind, talking about Reigns and Ambrose and myself, and yeah, we were just able to like really put together a strong unit, and surprisingly, you gotta put your ego down a little bit, because not everybody can have the spotlight 24/7. When you're by yourself out there, it's like you get all the mic time, you get all the ring time.
Mm-hmm.
You're on TV all the time, so you got to share that. It's a humbling experience. I think it's good for me though.
What happens when you're on the indies and you kind of make a name for yourself in a tag team, and then you kind of start to be the breakout guy, and then you're the one who gets called up? Is there a weirdness? Is there jealousy?
Are you referring specifically to me and Jimmy Jacobs?
That's the famous team, right?
Yeah, I don't think so, man. Jimmy was so I watched Jimmy when I was like 15, 16. He used to do a lot of local independents around where I grew up, and so I was always a big fan of his. He actually had like a good series of matches with my trainer Danny Daniels in that area at the time, and when I met Jimmy, he kind of like took me under his wing. I think he just saw a wealth of potential in me, and he kind of took me under his wing from the start, and he was the one who actually really helped me get my job in Ring of Honor. And so being with him, I think not that he knew what was in the cards, but like just genetically speaking, I got luckier than he did. You know what I'm saying? He's a great looking young man, don't get me wrong, but he's short, and you know what I mean, doesn't have the best physique. So like he's an incredible talent, and he deserves to be here. But like I think he knew, like, he kind of sacrificed himself a little bit, because he knew that if he put effort into me and like really took the time to help me out, like it would almost be a bit of like sending some of himself up here if he never got the opportunity. You know what I mean?
And there's two ways that can go. Like that's part of learning who to associate yourself with early, because either somebody's going to bring you in and really want to push you and see you succeed regardless of whether they do or not, or they're going to be like, hey kid, I brought you in, you're not supposed to be doing better than me.
Yeah, and he said that to me a million times. No, he's been super cool and always supportive, and we still talk quite a bit to this day. And I don't think there's, if he's not jealous, of my situation, then that would be unnatural, I think, because we all want to be. This is where we all want to work. If someone tells you they don't want to work here, they're a liar. This is where we all want to work. This is where we make a living and stuff like that. Is he yesing again? He's yesing again.
And he's been doing media for 3 weeks. I have no idea where the energy's coming from.
I know, right? Maybe it's all the veggie juices. But yeah, Jimmy's he's awesome. He's been super supportive, and like you're right, it's like a kind of a test in just human experience, because in any walk of life you're going to run into people who are going to use you.
Yeah.
And then you're going to run into people who genuinely want to help you. And it's tough to decide, especially in this business that is super cutthroat and super like political backstage. It's tough to find people that you can really count on, but Jimmy's always been one of those guys for me.
That's excellent. What's the process like when you have to change your name to another real name? Because that's the WWE's thing over the past 5 years, has been to change guys who use their real names to a different real name. And then all of a sudden you watch this slow process where, especially if you're kind of known before, people kind of adapt, and then this person that existed earlier to WWE starts to kind of almost not exist.
Yeah, it is weird, and I tried to do all I could to keep the former moniker, but they're smart. They want to brand everything. That way they can sell everything. You know what I mean? And they don't want to share any of the profits, which makes perfect sense. So yeah, it's essentially you make a list of first names and last names and match them up and see what sounds good. And that's about it, man.
And how long is it taking until the people are, because you were calling Dean Ambrose a minute ago. How long is it before the people around you are calling you by your new name?
So the people I just met, when I moved down to Florida and started working at FCW, there were only a handful of them that ever called me Tyler Black. Mm-hmm. So they all just only knew me as Seth Rollins. So that's just what they called me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So from then on, but there are still like Jimmy, he calls me Tyler. Mm-hmm. So every time I see him, he still calls me Tyler.
And does that mean okay, this is a dude that's known me from the get, and this is a guy who knows me now? Is it different relationships, or is it just...
Well, when they're close people like that, people that I work with, I know the difference, and I can tell the difference. What I run into is fans who will come up to me and they'll call me all the names at one time, and I'll be
like, "Hey, Tyler Seth."
Yeah, and I'm like, and I've been a fan since blah 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 blah, and chances are they haven't. They just went back and bought a couple of best of DVDs, and now they think they're super experienced, which is awesome. Kudos to them for going back and checking that stuff out. But the fans that I know and knew me from Ring of Honor and before, they'll still call me Tyler, and they'll I can tell when they say it, because it was almost like a mistake, you know what I mean? They didn't mean to do it, or oh sorry, yeah, you know what I mean? So yeah, there's a difference. You can kind of feel it.
Are you surprised at the amount of former Ring of Honor guys that are populating the WWE roster right now, especially in such a major way?
Am I surprised? No. I mean, geez, man, there's so much talent there, especially when I was there. And there's guys who are not here who should be here. When someone like a Nigel McGuinness, who's literally at one point the best wrestler on planet Earth, and he's not here, is a shame. And guys I knew Cesaro was going to be here with me at some point. Chris Hero, Cassius Ohno, I was hoping would stay the course and make it here, but door's always open for him. You never know, he could come back. But yeah, man, I mean, so Ring of Honor is a place I always wanted to work, and the reason I wanted to work there was because the best wrestlers in the world worked there. And the only thing I'm surprised about is that the WWE gave us a shot. That's what I'm surprised about. And I don't want to say that in a negative way, but there has just always been a prototypical superstar, and I'm proud of them for kind of stepping away from that.
Yeah.
Especially over the last few years, realizing that that's not the kind of guy that's always going to draw money. And there's always a place in this business for a Hulk Hogan or a Ryback, Ultimate Warrior, guys of that nature. But it's just the whole paradigm has shifted. And athletically speaking, professional wrestling is in a completely different place than it was in even in 2002, you know what I'm saying? So I think with guys like Rey Mysterio and Edge, Guerrero, and one other guy that I will fail to mention.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah, he. I think with those guys having so much success, Shawn Michaels too. You start to see that other people and smaller guys with a more athletic skill set can draw money as well. And so kudos to the company for stepping away from what they've always thought as the prototypical, this is the type of guy we need in here, and giving different people from different backgrounds and hardworking guys an opportunity to come in and be the main guys, to steal the show and, take the thing over.
When you get told that you're coming in to be a part of the Shield and they kind of explain to you what the Shield is and say, we're going to push this group to the moon from the beginning, is it a lot of pressure? Do you necessarily believe it? Or do you just go, I'm going to go out there one night at a time? And
being down in developmental for me, I'd been wrestling at that point about 6-7 years when I got there. For me, being in developmental was one of the most frustrating experiences of my life. Also, one of the best experiences of my life. I learned a lot there, and I'm really glad that I spent as much time there as I did. It helped prepare me for being a WWE superstar. But by the time the call-up was about to happen, I was ready for anything.
Yeah.
I was begging, like, please, let's just do something. So when the Shield came together, it was such a rough idea that, like, I was certainly skeptical of where we were going to go or where we were going to end up, especially in today's, you look at stables of the past few years, guys, Nexus and their offshoot, the Core. These things just don't last. Or you have things like 3MB that don't get treated quite as well. And whoever's fault that is, I don't know. But I always had the expectation that I was not going to be anything less than a number one type player. Ambrose felt the same way. Reigns felt the same way. When I was saying earlier, we all came in with the same mindset and one goal in mind. That goal was to take the thing over and change it completely. Like, we had been watching and just feeling like there was such a sterile environment up here, and we needed to, re-inject some good old-fashioned violence, some pro wrestling, some energy into it. And we did that from the very beginning, and we've been lucky enough that people have caught on and kind of they feel that energy with us, and there's people in the company that understand that what we do is different than what anybody else is doing, and they're putting us in a position to succeed. So a lot of nerves, but a lot of skepticism at the same time. But none of the three of us were ever going to be like, we're never going to settle for like mediocrity.
Are you glad? It seemed they were planting like seeds of, are the Shield going to break up, and then they kind of stopped that and they made you guys good guys. Are you glad that they've kind of slowed down the process of breaking you guys up, or are you where you were at in developmental in the sense that you're ready for something different and you're ready for this thing to be over so you can branch out?
No, I'm really proud of the Shield.
Yeah.
I think we have a long life ahead of us. And if that means squabbling from time to time, I'm okay with that, because I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
I think that, we've all said it, that we had an awesome first year. But we became the most interesting as characters, like, in the last, 4 to 6 months. Just doing different things and being able to play off each other and stuff like that. And it's just been a lot of fun. And I'm really happy that it's ended up the way it has, just because, like I said, we got a lot of life left in us, man. And 2014 is going to be, a killer year for us.
Do you have you changed your style at all to protect your body as you've gotten older? Because you're an aerial guy, you're a guy who off the top rope, backflips, everything. But you also see guys like a Rey Mysterio or whoever who are older now, and you've seen what the body goes through when you put it through that. Have you figured out ways to protect yourself, or are you just going to keep doing this until it doesn't work anymore?
I think I think there's a reputation that I have as a risk taker and stuff like that, but I wouldn't do anything if I didn't feel completely comfortable with it. I think we're all just at different levels as far as what we can do athletically. Yeah. And this is I don't feel people will see something that I've done and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you didn't break your neck, or I can't believe you didn't land on your head, or how did you land on your feet like that? But to me, that's just what I do. You know what I mean? Right. I don't know. I wouldn't do it if I didn't feel completely comfortable. Oh yeah, I got this, no problem. And that's just where I'm at. You know what I mean? And I don't encourage anybody else to try to do what I do. We all have our own styles, and that's what makes us unique and different and stuff like that. So I don't really feel like I'm taking more of a beating than say Roman Reigns is. You know what I'm saying? Just because we have different styles, I think there's I don't know, a stereotype that, guys who kind of work a little bit faster paced or take a little more risks per se are going to have a higher injury rate. But I mean, I don't feel that way at all. I feel great. I'm 27. I'll be 28 in May, and I feel like $1 million.
Perfect. So keep doing what you're doing. Good luck with WrestleMania this weekend.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad that you saw that photo of me freaking out a row behind you at Raw.
Yeah, man, that was a hell of a. I mean, what we were fighting the Americans that night, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Dude, it was crazy. That crowd was awesome, and like it was a cool picture. If you can ever, if anybody out there seeing this or hearing this, like, seek it out. It's cool. My eyes are bug-eyed, and he's over there looking awesome. And Noelle Foley, who's far too beautiful, is in there just doing her thing. And
She really does stand out at a wrestling show, doesn't she?
yeah. And the fact that she's Mick Foley's daughter makes me totally uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I used to read about her in his Have a Nice Day when she was, a tiny little tot, and now she's like this beautiful woman. So it's very strange.
Well, we'll see the photo. I'm going to put it technologically right on the video.
Nice.
So.
He's going to overdub it. Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Take it easy. Thanks for having me.